Hey guys, welcome on into another episode, Getting Well with Terry and Friends, Trends and Betting Picks. I'm Terry, ready to break down the Friday slate. A bunch of MLB games that I like on today's slate, and of course the CFL game at the end of the show. So stay tuned to that. But we'll start the show as we normally do, taking a look back at what happened yesterday. Um, Starting with my first premium play of the day, Cincinnati money line, plus 150. A nice winner there. Another nice plus money winner with the Cincinnati Reds over the New York Yankees uh, in yesterday's game. Over 8.5, minus 122 was a nice winner as well. 8-4 win there. Ben Rice, over 1.5 bases for the New York Yankees. He got his first home run of his MLB career. So he got us the multiple bases that we needed. Jordan Alvarez, over 1.5 bases, home run, and RBI, all losers. Now, that's not his fault. That is not, you cannot blame Jordan Alvarez for these three losses. You have to blame the Toronto Blue Jays, as the Blue Jays were afraid to pitch to Alvarez, walked him twice, and hit him twice. They hit him in his last two at bats. He got hit by two different pitchers, and the Jays are just afraid to pitch to him. And unfortunately, when you're betting player props, that's going to happen. And that's what happened yesterday with the Blue Jays. Minnesota run line ended up being a push because of the rain. Brooksley over 1.5 bases, also a push. Brooksley RBI cashed. He got one earlier on in the game. And Carlos Correa over 1.5 bases, also a void. So of course, it's tough to have the game finish in the seventh inning when the Twins are up by 9. But with the two player props that probably would have been losers, um, slightly down a quarter unit. So no big deal there. Um, Up because of the Brooksley. So that game was profitable because of Brooksley. Devers over 1.5 bases, loss. Masataka Yoshida over 1.5 bases, loss. Just a bad game by both of those guys. Brent Rooker over 1.5 bases, plus 120, a winner. Brent Rooker home run did not get there. Orioles minus 1.5, plus 120. A loser there. They were up 3-0, and then they just let Seattle score a bunch in the last few innings, which is pretty rare to see. Jorge Soler over 1.5 bases, loss. Brenton Doyle over 1.5 bases was a void. He did not play. The CFL game was super exciting. And you know what? If you watched yesterday's show, I moved Saskatchewan back into fourth and Toronto in third. Never should have done that. In retrospect, the Rough Riders getting the outright win at home against the Argonauts. AJ Ouellette over 58.5 rushing yards that I gave out in yesterday's show. A nice winner. He ended up finishing with like 67. He was at 59 for a good portion of the time. And I was like, no, what if he loses a yard or two rushing? But no, he got a few nice runs at the end. So didn't have to sweat it out that much. And now we get to the thank you of the day segment. And there might be two videos coming here because somebody decided to have a monster night. So we will go and see. We will go and see who that was. If you bear with me 1 second. Here we go.
Games of the series, and Walker's driving another one. There it goes, Christian Walker. There's one more, and he has taken this ballpark apart and made it his own.
We talked about the game slowing down.
He has homered in 5 consecutive games at Dodger Stadium. He has homered 6 times in 6 games in this ballpark this year. Walker. Another one's on its way. Christian Walker has taken over Dodger Stadium. There is no explanation for this. It just goes on and on and on. It's amazing.
He's not even cracking a smile. I mean, even
Look
Torrey's
at Torrey
laughing.
Lovello. This defies all logic.
Christian Walker should look at getting traded to the LA Dodgers because he absolutely loves to play in Dodger Stadium here. Over 1.5 bases plus 115. Winner, he got 8. Home run plus 350. Winner, he got 2 of them. So ultimately up 2.5 units yesterday. So a pretty good day. We had 2 small little winning days the last couple days. So now a little bit more of a bigger winning night at 2.5 units. So happy with how yesterday went. The night really ended well. So that was nice for it to end so well. But we will jump into the chat. Terry, ... Hello, Nicholas. Hey, Terry. Hey, Storage Club. How's it going? I'm in a relationship with Christian Walker now. Hey, to each his own. He had a great night for us yesterday. Show his walks too. 3-1, 4-1 live bets. Yes, Addison was great with the walks. I never bet walks, but you called it, Addison. And yeah, when a guy does hit 2 home runs, most pitchers probably wouldn't want to pitch to him anyway. So I'm shocked that Landon Knack, after throwing that first home run ball or throwing that first pitch that led to a home run, that he would once again throw a strike to Walker in the next at bat. But I guess people make mistakes. Diamondbacks should have swept the Dodgers. Walker's a beast. One of the only positives for Arizona this year. There's another player that's heating up for the Diamondbacks that we'll be talking about a little bit later. But yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. We'll jump into today's slate because we do have quite a few games to talk about today. Starting with the early one right away. And if you saw my tweets on Twitter, I've noticed games where there are days where there's a standalone baseball game in the afternoon. Things tend to get a little wacky, especially when it comes to player props. Have not had a lot of success in that situation. But we have on the mound Griffin Canning for the Angels. Overall, 3-8 with a 4.71 ERA on the season. But if you look at it a little bit closer on the road, he's 0-6 in 7 starts with a 5.21 ERA. And in day games, he's 0-5 in 5 starts with a 5.33 ERA. So basically, Canning, who's had a rough season, is much better at home. Maybe not so much ERA, but it's a full run lower. But he struggles during the day and he struggles on the road. Now he has to go here to Chicago, where the wind is blowing out a significant amount. So due to all that, I have to bet a player prop, which you can see here. Maybe you don't know who it is, but you'll find out in a second here. Ward, Renifo, staying up both of these guys. Renifo didn't get a hit in the game before last, got the night off yesterday, so he should be here in the lineup this afternoon, but not looking to take anyone really against Justin Steele. But we are taking Ian Happ. Multiple bases in 6 of his last 8 games. He has been one of the more consistent batters for the Chicago Cubs this season. Got a home run yesterday. Going to put a quarter unit on the home run, half unit on the over 1.5 bases. Was originally just going to do the over 1.5 bases, but with the strong wind blowing out, I got to put a quarter unit on the home run because if he does hit a home run, then I'll regret not doing it. So a half unit and a quarter unit, both on Ian Happ. in this early afternoon game, and we'll see what happens. If Ian Happ can't do anything against Griffin Canning when the wind is blowing out so strong, then serves me right for betting an early game, and I won't ever do it again, I promise. Seiya Suzuki, Nico Horner, both slowing down. Really, Nico Horner shouldn't even be on the sheet. So we'll just take him right off. Doesn't even deserve to be on the sheet. With 5 of his last 7 games, he hasn't got anything. So we'll take him off. Just looking at Ian Happ here in the first game of the day. When it comes to the sider total, not on anything here. Obviously, I would look at the Cubs in some form. Minus 174 favorites. I can't back the Cubs at this big of a price here. It would have to be the run line, which I'm not comfortable doing. Looking at the over 9.5, very tall, high total. Could look at Cubs team total, but that's probably around 5, I'm assuming, or 5.5. So ultimately, we're just going to look at Ian Happ props here in this game. Nick does like the Cubs run line plus 105. And yeah, can't talk you off that, even though it's not a play for me. We will move on along to our next game. The New York Mets are heading to Pittsburgh to face Paul Skeens for the first time. Luis Severino will be on the mound for the Mets in this one. Severino has had a rough start recently, a couple rough starts recently. Against Texas, 8 hits, 6 earned runs. That was great against the Cubs. 3 innings, no runs, 10 strikeouts, and a six innings in the win. Then 8 hits, 4 earned runs, and 7 innings against Houston. So he's kind of been up and down recently. And Paul Skeens in the mound for the Pirates. I do kind of lean with Pittsburgh here, but at minus 130, I'm just not really interested in taking them, especially with the fact that the Mets did not do really anything yesterday at all. Their offense was pretty much inexistent yesterday. So that doesn't really make me want to bet against them the day after, especially when they're minus 130 to take the Pirates. Just not in my range. Nimmo cooling off significantly. Alvarez, Alonso. Obviously, the numbers don't look good with nobody getting a hit yesterday. Everybody takes a step back. Brian Reynolds, do lean with him in some fashion here. Got a home run in his last game. Probably would look at multiple bases, but don't really have a good feeling for this game. So I'm going to pass. You don't have to bet every game. And this is one where I'm not going to bet anything at all. Mets first 5. The bullpen doesn't give me any confidence in a full game until Diaz comes back. Well, I would be more confident when Diaz is gone, really. But maybe he's pitching better recently, but yeah. We'll move on along to our next game. St. Louis Cardinals are heading to Washington to face the Nationals. Patrick Corbin Day. He's on the mound for the Nationals. Sonny Gray on the mound for the Cardinals. And looking at it, a lot of the Cardinals batters nobody really has a whole lot of success against Corbin, surprisingly. The 2 hottest hitters for the Cardinals right now, Alec Burleson has never faced Corbin before. Wilson Contreras, 2 for 13 against him, so not very good. He does have multiple bases in 3 of 3. Contreras is playing very well right now. So if I was going to take somebody, it would be Wilson Contreras, but not getting to it here. Abrams cooling off significantly. Winker starting to heat up the last few games. 2 for 3 against Gray, both singles. Ultimately, a game I'm going to pass on. But I promise I do have quite a few plays today, just not here in this game. Being selective. Strong lean towards Nationals plus 150. I know it's Corbin, but the line looks a little wide for St. Louis. Hey, I agree. Well, I don't know if I agree. I don't disagree. And with the fact, if I was going to take the Cardinals, I would want a lot of batters that are good against Corbin. Uh, that would make me more confident about taking the Cardinals, which is not the case. So, Boston Red Sox are heading to New York to face the Yankees, who are not going to say in free fall mode, but have not been playing very well recently. Tanner Houck on the mound for the Red Sox, Nestor Cortez on the mound for the Yankees. Cortez has lost back to back starts, but quite a few Yankees pitchers have lost multiple games recently. Nestor Cortez, much better at home. 4-3 with a 1.84 ERA in 9 starts. 0-4 with a 5.63 ERA on the road. So a much, much different pitcher at home than on the road. Um, Having said that, I'm taking Rafael Devers over 1.5 bases, which he's done in 6 of his last 8 games. He's 3 for 11 with a double and 2 home runs against Cortez. Devers playing very well right now. Has good numbers against Cortez. And of course, the Yankees bullpen is not playing too well either recently. So I'm comfortable taking a prop here against Cortez, even at home. Jaron Duran not touching his props here. Tyler O'Neill, he's starting to heat up. Multiple bases in 3 games in a row. 0 for 2 against Cortez. Masataka Yoshida completely disappeared yesterday. Not taking his props today, so you know what's going to happen. He's probably going to go 3 for 3 with a couple doubles and RBIs and everything, but it is what it is. Aaron Judge staying off his props in this game. Gleyber Torres, we are going to stay off his props as well, but he does have good numbers here against Tanner Houck. Ben Rice was in the leadoff spot in the last game. I'm not sure where he's going to find himself in the lineup today, if he is, in fact, in the lineup. But multiple bases in 4 games in a row. He has been great for the New York Yankees. His first home run in his last game. He's been playing very well. So we'll take him over 1.5 bases here, which I believe was nice plus price, plus 185 for him to get multiple bases, which he's done in 4 games in a row. So I will take him here in this game. When it comes to a side, boss getting plus money to fade the Yankees is kind of appealing, but ultimately, no side for me here in this game. Nick is fading the Yankees at plus money, and I can't talk you off that at all with how they played recently. I'm just going to pump the brakes here in this game. I do have one side up on the site on Picks and Parlays. 2 premium plays today, one in MLB, one CFL play, both available on the site for purchase. But we will move on along to our next game. The Detroit Tigers are heading to Cincinnati to face the Reds. Reese Olson on the mound for the Tigers, 2-8 with a 3.32 ERA in the season and 16 starts. Very good at the beginning of the season, got absolutely no run support. Overall, has had a tough June, 1-3 with a 5.73 ERA in 6 starts. Did play a little bit more better recently against Atlanta, the White Sox, and the Angels. But now has to face the Cincinnati team, who's got to be feeling pretty good about themselves, sweeping the Yankees. Now heading home here, 3 games under 500. They're trying to get up to 500 here in this game. Carson Spears on the mound for the Reds. Overall, he's won back-to-back starts against Pittsburgh and St. Louis. 2-1 with a 3.13 ERA in the season. 3 starts, 8 games played. So he's hasn't pitched too bad recently overall. Looking at Detroit Tigers props, the Tigers as a team I mentioned already. When I talk about the Tigers, they are a team where their offense isn't really there or they explode. And right now, consistently, when Seal Perez or Colt Keith would be the only two consistent batters, but ultimately not getting to either of their props. Jonathan India. I said in yesterday's show that Jonathan India had gone cold because he had not had multiple bases in back-to-back games and didn't get a hit in his last game. He decided after probably listening to no, he wasn't listening to the show, but I'll pretend he was listening to the show. Decided to show me and hit a home run in yesterday's game. 0 for 2 in his career against Olsen. But obviously 0 for 2 is not a big sample size. Now, we do have some large sample sizes in some matchups and other games, but India 0 for 2, going to take him for multiple bases. He's done in 12 of 15. I'm going to take it. Ellie de la Cruz, kind of cooling off a little bit. He has his great games, and then other games where he just doesn't get anything. So he's kind of up and down. Spencer Steer, not on a significant run, but got a home run yesterday. Multiple bases in 2 or 3. Quarter unit on the home run, half unit on the over 1.5 bases. He's 1 for 3 with a home run against Olsen. So he's already hit a home run off Olsen. He's hitting the ball well the last few games. So we'll take Spencer Steer over 1.5 bases and our home run, and Jonathan India over 1.5 bases as well here in this game. Moving on along to our next one. And yes, as you can see, I've got 2 Chicago White Sox props. I'm finally doing it. The first time this year, I am betting Chicago White Sox props. I know. Have I lost my mind? We'll see. On the mound for the White Sox, Drew Thorpe, who's pitched pretty well. 2-1 with a 4.43 ERA in the season. He's won back-to-back starts against Detroit and Colorado, going 6 innings in both games, only giving up 2 hits in both games, 2 earned runs total, 9 strikeouts in 12 innings. He's pitched very well. Now, his game before those 2 against Arizona, 6 hits, 7 earned runs, and 5 walks. So that's why his ERA is a bit high. But the last couple of games have been good for him. On the mound for Miami is Brian Hoeing, who will be pitching around an inning to open the game. So it'll be a bullpen day for the Marlins. Andrew Vaughn, home run in 2 of his last 3 games. He's been one of the White Sox most consistent hitters this year. So you could look at his props here. Luis Robert Jr., multiple bases at 5 of 7. He hasn't been doing too bad either recently. But the player we're going to look at here is Lenyn Sosa. What I decided to do is do a quarter unit on the over 1.5 bases and a quarter unit on the RBI. Multiple bases in 5 games in a row, and RBI in 4 of his last 5 games. I got the RBI at plus 240 and the over 1.5 bases at plus 180. So those are really big plus prices or plus odds for a guy that's been doing it consistently. And it's not like Miami Marlins have a fantastic pitching staff or anything. So I'm doing it. Pulling the trigger on 2 White Sox props, both for Lenyn Sosa here in today's game. Jesus Sanchez has been very good his last few games, so you could look at his props. But this isn't a game I want to go crazy in. Drew Thorpe has been pitching well his last couple of games against lineups comparable to the Marlins, so we'll pass. But we'll take Lenyn Sosa over 1.5 bases and RBI, both for smaller quarter unit plays here in this game. Nick is on the White Sox, plus 114. Best of luck. Normally, I would say call 1-800-GAMBLER for betting this game, but I can't do that because I've bet on this game. So I'll keep my 1-800-GAMBLER comment to myself, even though I just said it live. San Francisco Giants are here facing the... Who are they facing? The Cleveland Guardians. Eric Miller on the mound for the Giants. He'll be an opener. And then Tanner Beebe on the mound for the Guardians. BB 5-1 with a 2.88 ERA in his last 7 starts. He has been great. He has been great overall. Winning back to back, or sorry, winning 3 starts in a row against Seattle, Baltimore, and Kansas City. One thing I did notice here about BB is 3-1 at home with a 4.36 ERA, 4-1 with a 2.7 ERA on the road. So his ERA has been a bit lower on the road. Cleveland has been a hitter's ballpark this year. And now we've got this Giants team coming in, and we've got a few players that are feeling pretty well right now, including Matt Chapman. Home run in 3 of his last 6 games, multiple bases in 5 of his last 6. He's on a 10-game hit streak, 1 for 2 with a double against Tanner Beebe. So Chapman doing so well right now. We'll take him half unit over 1.5 bases. Jorge Soler is also doing really well right now. Don't want to overload in props, so I'm going to end up passing on him. But Heliot Ramos, he's back. He went a little bit cold there recently, but not anymore. Multiple bases in 4 or 5, an RBI in 4 or 5, a home run in 2 of 3. He's feeling it. So we'll take him over 1.5 bases for a half unit. Not touching Jose Ramirez, not touching Kwan. Both of these guys, Martinez and Naylor, I am looking at their props. I haven't got to anything yet because I was waiting to hear announcements about the pitchers, and obviously their props weren't available earlier on. So this will be a game I tweet out later or check the spreadsheet later and see if anything has changed. Most likely, I'm going to be looking at Josh Naylor props at least. Multiple bases in 4 of his last 5. Angel Martinez, multiple bases in 2 games in a row. So most likely we'll look at those 2 guys a little bit later on, as their props weren't available when I looked over this game this morning. Moving on along, we've got the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. I don't know why I was going to say Arizona. And we've got a pitching matchup here. Aaron Nola against Max Fried in this game. We're seeing the totals at around 7.5 in this game. So normally this would not be a game that I'm looking at for player props, but I have to here in this situation. Starting with Nick Castellanos, multiple bases in 2 of his last 4. So not on a huge streak or anything, but 9 for 14 against Max Fried with a double and a home run. 9 for 14 against Max Fried is pretty impressive because a lot of guys struggle against him. So Castellanos has done well. And looking at it, the 3 hottest hitters here on the spreadsheet right now for the Philadelphia Phillies are the 3 players that have all had the most success against Max Fried. So maybe this could be a Philadelphia spot today, but haven't pulled the trigger there. Alec Boehm, home run in 2 of his last 4 games. He's 6 for 23 with 2 doubles against Fried. Didn't get to his props. Trey Turner has seen Max Fried a lot. 39 at bats, 15 hits, 3 doubles, 1 home run, and then 11 singles. So Turner's definitely had success against Fried as well. And then for the Braves, only one hitter that's really that hot right now, which is Austin Riley. Multiple bases in 3 games in a row. He's seen a lot of Aaron Nola, 60 at bats, 22 hits, 5 doubles, 5 home runs. So a lot of extra base hits against Aaron Nola. So we'll take Austin Riley over 1.5 bases and Nick Castellanos over 1.5 bases in a game that probably is lower scoring, but got to take those 2 player props here in this one. And Nick's on the Braves -1. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. I would probably lean a little bit against you, especially at the price here. I think the Braves are pretty big, or minus 131 favorite, so not that big, but yeah. Ultimately, 2-player props for me, no side here in this game. Tampa Bay Rays are facing the Texas Rangers here. No official announced pitcher yet for Tampa Bay. Michael Lorenzen will be on the mound for the Rangers. Lorenzen, overall 4-4 with a 3.40 ERA on the season and 14 starts. Most recently here in his last 3 starts against the Mets, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs. Then against Milwaukee, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. And then his last start against Baltimore, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 home runs again. So he's actually given up at least 1 home run in 4 of his last 5 starts and multiple home runs in 3 of his last 5 starts. So Lorenzen has been kind of giving up the long ball recently. And here comes Brandon Lowe, home run in 3 of his last 4 games, which we're taking. Quarter unit on the home run, half unit on over 1.5 bases here in this one. Not taking Andy Diaz, not taking Randy Arozarena, not taking Jose Caballero. Don't know who's pitching yet for Texas or for Texas or not for Texas. Don't know who is pitching yet for Tampa Bay, but Corey Seager has made his return to the spreadsheet here. Multiple bases in 5 of his last 6 games on a 9-game hit streak. I'll take him over 1.5 bases here without knowing who the pitcher will be. I'm still confident in taking Corey Seager here in this game. Shane Baz for Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah, he hasn't officially been announced yet, but yeah, that's who's supposed to be pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays. And you like the minus 105? Good luck. I know Nick is not a Texas Rangers fan at all, so good luck. Ultimately, no side for me here in this one. Moving on along, the Houston Astros are heading to Minnesota to face the Twins. Sean Dubin on the mound for the Astros. Pablo Lopez on the mound for the Twins. Lopez 8-6 on the season with a 4.88 ERA. He has a pretty high ERA on the season. But when you look at his last 6 starts, 1 rough start against the Yankees, 4 hits, 7 earned runs. 1 rough start against Tampa Bay, 7 hits, 5 earned runs. But against this Houston Astros team, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 hits, or 5 hits, 2 earned runs against Colorado. And then his last 2 starts, both wins against Oakland and Seattle. 8 innings against Oakland, 2 hits, no runs. 6 innings against Seattle, 4 hits, 1 earned run. So Lopez has been much better recently. Now, looking at it, in 8 of his last 9 games, he's given up at least 1 home run. So he has been giving up home runs, but overall, he's pitched pretty well recently. Alex Bregman, 1 for 8 with a home run, hasn't had success against Lopez. Jose Altuve, 3 for 10, all singles. Not getting to his props either here in this one. Yordan Alvarez, he's 3 for 8, all singles. I'm assuming that the Twins will pitch to him, but I'm going to stay off his props here. If the Twins do pitch to him in the way that Lopez has been giving up at least 1 home run each start, Yordan Alvarez home run might be a good luck here in this one. Byron Buxton, props are not available. If he is in the lineup, I will be on his over 1.5 bases prop, as he's done in 8 of his last 10 games. But that'll be another play that I'll tweet out later if I pull the trigger. Carlos Correa, staying off his props. Brooks Lee, the rookie for the Twins. I'll take him for an RBI here. I cashed for us yesterday with RBI, and his RBI prop today is plus 215. So I'll take that here against the Houston Astros pitching staff. Jose Miranda, huge game yesterday for the Twins. He's been hitting pretty well overall. But we're just going to stick with Brooks Lee, maybe get to Byron Buxton, maybe looked at Jordan Alvarez as well. But nothing officially here. Astros plus 130. I would disagree. Now, why am I not on the Twins? Because of the price. The Twins are what? Minus 147. So I would have to take them on the run line, which I'm not comfortable doing here. So that's ultimately why it's a pass. If this was minus 120 for the Twins, I'd be on the Twins, but just priced out of it in this one. Jordan over half a walk. Depending on what the odds are, yeah, I would look at that. But just because the Jays were afraid to pitch to him doesn't necessarily mean that the Twins will be as well. So we'll see. Moving on along to our next game here. Kansas City Royals are headed to Colorado to face the Rockies. Cole Reagan's on the mound for the Royals. Kyle Freeland on the mound for the Rockies. Ultimately here, we're taking Vinny Pasquantino over to get an RBI. He's done it in 9 of 10 games. Yes, he's 0 for 3 against Freeland, but Pasquantino RBI was plus 105. Got to play that when he's done it in 9 games in a row. Bobby Witt Jr. is heating up. Didn't even look at his props because they are definitely expensive. So stayed off there. Not taking either Doyle or Jake Cave. Both hitting pretty well for the Rockies right now. As usual, games in Colorado, I don't really look at too many props because of how they're priced, but we'll take Pasquantino here for an RBI in this game. Morning, Terry and friends. Hey, Tim. How's it going? But we'll continue on along. Here, the next game, the Toronto Blue Jays are heading to Seattle to face the Mariners. On the mound for Toronto is Kevin Gausman, 6-7 with a 4.75 ERA in the season. Luis Castillo on the mound for the Mariners, 6-9 with a 3.87 ERA. Gausman off an awful start against the Yankees, 7 hits, 7 earned runs. Previous to that, 4 hits, 3 earned runs. Previous to that, 5 hits, 4 earned runs. 8 hits, 3 earned runs against Cleveland before that. So Gausman has just been giving up quite a bit recently. He's allowed at least 1 home run in 5 of his last 6 starts, multiple home runs in 3 of his last 6 starts. So Gausman is not his normal self right now. Not a pitcher I would want to back. I'm not going to back Luis Castillo here either. The Mariners around minus 132 favorites, but do have a play in this game. Not taking Vladdy, who is starting to cool off recently. Not taking George Springer. I was leaning with Spencer Horwitz. Didn't end up pulling the trigger on his props. But I've just discussed Kevin Gausman's giving up home runs and in at least 5 of his last 6 starts and giving up multiple home runs. And now he has Cal Raleigh coming in here, who's 4 for 9 against him with 3 home runs. So a quarter unit on Raleigh to get a home run. Done in 3 of his last 9 games, and of course, I just talked about Gausman, so had to pull the trigger on Raleigh home run here. Julio Rodriguez has been cold, did have a great game, including a home run yesterday. So if you wanted someone else, I would look at Rodriguez, but he has really struggled against Gausman overall. So Cal Raleigh it is, quarter unit on the home run prop, which was plus 340 here in this game against Kevin Gausman. Sile Laren over 2 shots, Canada versus Venezuela in Copa America. All right, best of luck. Best of luck. Blue Jays first 5 plus a half. Wow. Don't trust Mariners to hit enough to cover first 5 run line. Wow. Okay. I don't trust Gosman. I don't trust Gosman. But yeah, uh, I couldn't get to that game. Well, I couldn't get to that game from a side perspective. Arizona Diamondbacks are heading to San Diego to face the Padres. And I did mention how there is another guy heating up for the Diamondbacks, and that is Gabriel Moreno. 4 game hit streak, multiple bases in 3 of 4, a home run in 2 of 4, an RBI in 5 of his last 6 games. 2 for 5 with a double and a home run against Randy Vasquez. So he's enjoyed facing Vasquez. He is red hot right now. Half unit on the over 1.5 bases and a half unit on the RBI. Christian Walker went for 4 with a double against Vasquez. Walker, of course, does very well in LA hitting home runs. We'll see if we can keep it going here now, going to San Diego, which isn't too far away, but obviously different parts. 3 games in a row with the home run. Got to put a quarter unit on that. And then half unit on over 1.5 bases, 5 games in a row for him. Walker and Moreno really feeling it right now for the Diamondbacks. Lourdes Gurriel could look at his props 0 for 2 overall against Vasquez. Multiple bases in 10 of 14. Starting to cool off the last couple games. We'll pass on his props. But for the Padres, Jackson Merrill. Multiple bases in 3 of 5. 2 for 4 with 2 doubles here against Slade Ciccone. So we'll take Jackson Merrill here. Over 1.5 bases. And I would lean with the over in this game. I would. It's at 8.5 plus money. But haven't looked into how the teams have been doing when it comes to totals recently. So it's not an official play at all. It just would be something I'd lean to. Would be the over, but I like props in this game. So hopefully it is a high scoring game here in this one. Padres are nothing, and you're choosing to pass. All right. All right, Nick, passing one of my favorite games. But you don't bet player props, so there you go. Baltimore Orioles are heading to Oakland to face the Athletics. Albert Suarez for the Orioles. Hogan Harris for the Athletics. Ultimately passing this game. You could look at Ryan O'Hearn. Gunnar Henderson a home run yesterday. Westberg a home run yesterday. You could look at those guys there. Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker doing good for Oakland recently. But just didn't feel confident enough pulling the trigger here in this game. So this one is a pass. And so is the final game of the night between Milwaukee and the Dodgers. Passing here in this game as well. Terang has been doing well. William Contreras, both Contreras brothers, doing well recently. Teoscar's 2 for 9 with the home run against Aaron Savali. He's been doing well recently. Teoscar, Otani Freeman, not touching their props either. Ultimately, a pass. I'm passing the last 2 games of the MLB slate. And that will take us over to the CFL. Here, I'll break down today's game, and then we'll get to the recap and finish off the show. So I do have a premium play up on the site when it comes to a side or total in this game. So you can get that over on Picks and Parlays. Looking at it, though, Ottawa 2-1 so far in the season. They've covered plus 2.5 in both wins. Their loss was a very bad one to Montreal, but there's no harm. You shouldn't feel bad about losing to Montreal because every team has lost to Montreal so far. Winnipeg 0-4, just having a disastrous season. Injuries galore all over the place, especially offense. Zach Caleros, their starting quarterback, who's had a very rough season, is not starting this game. Chris Strevler will start. It's been tough for Winnipeg. Ottawa, 2 of their last 3 going over. Winnipeg has gone under 44 in 3 of their last 4, so both teams trending differently when it comes to the total. Winnipeg only scoring 18.5 points per game, Ottawa 22.67, Ottawa allowing more at 29.33. Of course, that 40 some odd points they gave up to Montreal really influenced this number. Winnipeg 24.5 points per against. Ottawa's won the last 2 meetings, and 4 of the last 5 have gone under. So we could potentially see a lower scoring game. We'll have to see here in this one. Looking at player props, Drew Brown has yet to throw over 2 touchdown passes in a game. So 3 games in a row under 1.5. Passing yards hasn't really been there. Reichwell Armstead has yet to get a touchdown. His receiving props have gone under. Dominique Rhymes, Jalen Acklin, don't really want to look at their props either. But we will go with Justin Hardy. He has been Drew Brown's main target throughout this season. 2 of his 3 games, he went over 110.5 receiving yards, a touchdown in 2 of his last 3. So I'll take him over 74.5 receiving yards at minus 114 and an anytime touchdown at plus 120. 2 player props here for Justin Hardy in this game for the Ottawa Red Blacks. And then for the Blue Bombers, no Strevler props available currently that I saw, and really wouldn't want to get to any anyway. Oliveira has yet to get a touchdown. Dembski has yet to get a touchdown. Wolodarski got a touchdown in the last game, over 42.5 in 3 games in a row. So potentially, if you wanted to look at a Winnipeg prop, you might want to look at Wolodarski. But it's a very injured team for this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team right now in the CFL. Brewers plus 165. Price seems extremely disrespectful for how Brewers have played this year. Well, Nick, they're facing the Dodgers, so that's why that's priced that way. But I know you love fading the Dodgers, and you have had success doing it, so I won't talk shit. But picks and parlays, exclusive plays of the day. Currently, over on the site, I am number 1. Yesterday, number 1 the last 7 days. So looking to keep things going here today. 1 CFL play available up on the site, and 1 MLB play also available over on the site. We will go to the recap, and we will recap all of today's plays. Starting with the early game, Ian Happ home run plus 360. Ian Happ over 1.5 bases plus 130. Ben Rice over 1.5 bases plus 185. Rafael Devers over 1.5 bases plus 163. Jonathan India over 1.5 bases plus 140. Spencer Steer home run plus 550. Spencer Steer over 1.5 bases plus 140. Lennon Sosa RBI plus 240. Lennon Sosa over 1.5 bases plus 180. Heliot Ramos over 1.5 bases plus 145. Matt Chapman over 1.5 bases plus 148. Nick Castellanos over 1.5 bases plus 150. Austin Riley over 1.5 bases plus 130. Seager over 1.5 bases plus 120. Brandon Lowe home run plus 400. Brandon Lowe over 1.5 bases plus 135. Brooks Lee RBI plus 215. Vinny Pasquantino RBI plus 105. Hardy anytime touchdown plus 120. Hardy over 74.5 receiving yards minus 114. Cal Raleigh home run plus 340. And then in the Arizona-San Diego game, Merrill over 1.5 bases plus 120. Walker home run plus 390. Walker over 1.5 bases plus 115. Moreno RBI plus 220. Moreno over 1.5 bases plus 160. The theme of today's slate is plus money. And so many of these plays are over plus 140. A lot of plus money on today's slate. So hoping for a good night and hoping for a nice winning night here today. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you guys enjoyed the show. Considering doing a live stream tonight, so we'll have to see if can find some people that want to come on with me, and might do a live stream tonight. So stay tuned to the YouTube channel if you're interested in watching the live stream. Thanks, Terry, for sharing your hard work. Good luck. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate the support. Thank you to everybody that watches the show. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel if you're new. Hit the like button. I appreciate all the support, guys. And we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode, Getting Wild with Terry and Friends. Trends and betting picks. Best of luck tonight, everyone.